Have discussion. It's a graded discussion, but we're going to take a little bit different angle as we talked about yesterday. So you were responsible for reading pages 166 to 215. I know that was a big hike. We talked about this. That's 25 pages a night. So you had from Monday to Wednesday to do that. So hey, it's a great honor. It's a challenge. I understand that. I'm willing to work with you. That's why today we're going to have a little bit of group work so that you can help each other out. Okay, you can debate and discuss some of the answers. You will be graded. It's going to count as your 10 points, okay, just like normal. But there's going to be answering only a few of the questions in your group, and you're going to be creating something to show me that you understood what you read. So I'm going to be checking your comprehension there. So I'll take you through the board, go over all of the things that you're going to be responsible for so you know exactly what to do. Then we'll break up in our groups, and then it's going to be on you, and I'll be facilitating there, okay? So follow along with me. I'll have handouts for you. Everything will be covered, and you're going to get those here momentarily. Number one, the objective today. Okay, everyone wants to understand the objective because if we meet the objective, then we've shown that we've learned this lesson. To know and understand key events in history through analysis of primary source material. That's the goal in every discussion that we do on Wednesday. We want to analyze Bernal Diaz, which is the conquest of New Spain, how this happened, how the Spanish conquered the Aztec. This is from a conquistador that was actually part of that conquest. So we're doing that every week already. This is just a different way to do it. I'm going to take you right now through a little bit of an anticipatory set. That's teacher talk. Okay, we do it all the time. But I want to get you guys motivated for what you're about to learn. So let's relate what we read to today's group work. It's Women's History Month. We mentioned this a few times. I know in my world history class I've talked about it quite a bit. Can anybody tell me what was the role of women in this section of reading? In this section of reading from Diaz, what was the role of women? PJ.
The flush columns would pretty much just sell and limit off to the Spanish because to show like their allegiance to them, so they're sort of used more as objects rather than people.
Okay, so a lot of what we're talking about here is, hey, what type of rights do women have? Unfortunately, guys, in this part of the reading and during the 1500s, in the New World, or the Americas, women were given to the Spanish as ways to make peace agreements. So I'm trying to connect what's going on in the New World to what went on in Europe, though. In Europe, okay, kings, princes, queens, and their daughters were also bargained off in political marriages, right? So this is not something unheard of, but it doesn't really give women the natural rights that we would expect them to deserve. So we're comparing the past to the present there. And Michael, I want you to go ahead and get on this.
Yeah, so going off of Bauer said, I definitely agree they're more of like an object than a person. But they're extremely protected. Whenever the Spanish came into any town, always had the women and like probably older people as well evacuated, so they were killed and stuff. And especially like when the Tosh Collins, however you say the name, scouted the Mexican capital, they said like they had removed all their important stuff and all the women and children had left the city because they thought the Tayules were going to take over. So
excellent.
So
You're saying that yes, they're objects, but they're protected.
Right.
So they do have revenues.
right, yeah.
Okay. Colt, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I was also gonna add on like the Malike thing, like from when they were like negotiating, like the woman like who became sort of the representative speaker of Cortez, like they eventually like the names just started like calling him sort of Malike, like Maiden's captain or whatever that was correctly formed.
Okay, that's excellent. That was actually going to be my second question. Colt just took away the second question, guys. I was going to ask you, what was the role of La Malinche or Doña Marina? As Colt said, she became the spokesperson because she was the translator between the two groups. So she played a very important role. And being this is Women's History Month, La Malinche, Doña Marina is an excellent figure to study. Okay? So think about that. That's the hook. We want to try to relate that to what we're taking a look at here in group work. So now, what I'm going to do is get you divided up in your groups. Your groups are based on the learning survey that you took on Monday. So what I did is I looked at your interests. Some of you guys said you like to create paragraphs. Some of you guys said you'd rather create a list. Some guys said they'd like to draw. So I tried to pair you up based on your interest there, and that's what we're going to do today. So before you move, group one is going to be Michael B., PJ, Ryan is not here, so you guys are going to be together. So Ryan's absent. That's okay. You guys will be able to work together there. You are going to answer only questions 1, 3, and 4. Once you get to your group spot over there in that corner, guys, I will give you the handouts and we'll get ready to go. Group 2 is going to be Mitchell, Colt, Andrew, and David. You guys will be in the center portion of the room here, okay? And you guys will actually be answering questions 8 and 9. And then group 3 is going to be Bob and Bruce. You guys selected that you like to do drawings rather than writing, so I put you guys together there. And you guys are going to answer questions 5 and 6 with a drawing. So instead of actually writing down the answer, the questions that I've selected for you are geographic based. So you are going to be able to do a drawing to actually answer the question. Okay? So that's your task. Going back to group 2, you guys will be creating a thesis statement, which goes very well with our paper exercises. So you're going to create a thesis and then you're going to write a paragraph to defend it. Once again, all of this is going to be written down in a list for you here shortly. And then group 1, you guys are going to create a list of the top 5 events. The top 5 events that happened during this reading section. So, back to the goal. Once we're done, I'm going to give you about 15 to 20 minutes to work on this. When we're done, I'm going to check for your understanding. So, the group work is to show me that you know and understand these key events. The essential question is, what were the most important events that took place in this reading section? So in your group, debate and discuss what you think were the most important. We've done an exercise on this in the past, so you should be ready to go. And then I'll have you guys share out your responses in the last 10 minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to your groups, and I will follow shortly with a couple of handouts. Bruce, you and Bob can go right here. I got you guys some colored pencils so that you can put a little color in there, okay? Both of you guys have to answer the questions on here that you grade. Make sure that you both write it down. Okay, guys, I have 4 copies of the discussion. You're going to answer only the questions that you're assigned, okay? But everybody has to write it down. That's your grade. Make sense? Yeah. Any questions there? Okay. Guys, here's the 2 copies of the actual discussion questions. You have to make sure that you answer only the questions assigned, okay? And you want to make sure also that you both write on your own sheet. That's your grade. Questions?
Yeah, 8, 9.
Okay, guys, go ahead and get started on your actual questions. Work together. It's not an independent. I want you to debate and discuss what you think the best possible answer is. Remember, there's no singular answer that is correct. There's multiple ways to answer the questions. And I'm going to bring around your group task next.
We should answer the 9 first,
I know to do.
Mr. Langel?
Yes, sir.
Separate sheet of paper?
No, you can answer them right on the
No, I
page.
think I remember what it was about, yeah.
What was it about?
That one was like basically the flush columns, the Mexican like representatives or around.
You're going to create the list. I
Whether or
actually
not
wrote
they should take
some
some
spots
one
for you
that
to
might
do
be
top 5.
top
And then you want to create an explanation why you chose those.
Let's say that they basically said that the flush columns was their enemy and that they didn't send their representatives to, and it was like this or that, and that's over that. But the,
Yes, sir.
I'm basically one of the go around.
I am going to give you a sheet,
Oh,
and
okay.
you're going to do your drawing right
Oh,
now.
yeah,
okay?
we should find it
So I'm
sitting
coming
there.
to you next.
Okay.
I know, I
Here's your
cannot
sheet.
remember what the heck it was.
So it's going to tell you exactly what to do. I would say on the flip side, you get the whole blank page, do your drawing there.
Do we just need one?
You just need to answer the question. So what you have to do is decide who's going to answer what question. Questions 5 or 6. So for example, you do 5, you do 6, or vice versa.
Okay.
And then what I want you to do though is decide together what would be a good drawing to represent the answer.
Okay.
Okay, then all you have to do second is subletter B. You're going to explain why you chose this drawing and how it answers the question.
Okay.
Okay. Make sense?
Yeah.
You guys are group 2, correct? Yeah. Okay, I have your task list. So once you answer your questions together and write them down, your task is to create the thesis statement, a 1-sentence argument statement. Everybody has to write it down on your sheet there. And then you want to create your paragraph explaining how you defend that thesis statement, why it's the most important event. Okay? Does anybody have any questions right now for me? Okay. All right, go back to your questions, guys.
Does anyone actually have a listing of what the name of the sensei was?
can use your notes, remember, you can't use the book. Bob, you can use your notes, okay, but you can't use the book, because I want to test your comprehension. So you can use your notes, but not the actual book, okay, man? You guys stuck on any questions?
We're talking about who sees the city that,
Yeah.
like, the details were arguing about that they want they want to go around it, if go around it, but they do.
Okay, let's think about this. What's the major city that they were leaving from?
That was like the Clutch Colony capital.
Okay, and where did the massacre take place, Colton? You were talking about with Lama Beach.
For Loma Beach. That was the courtyard thing as well.
Yes. Okay, so we're drawing blanks on the name. Let me give you the name, that'll get you the catalyst, right? Cholula is the name of the
yeah,
city,
dang it,
right? Does that ring a bell?
that rings a bell.
Okay, Cholula, that'll help you get started there.
Right, okay, that works.
Alright, so Cortez wanted to go through Cholula.
Yeah, like he made the executive decision to go through, but like basically like, the Mexican ambassadors from Montezuma were like arguing with the local Tlaxcalan people about which way to go, since the Tlaxcalans hated the Cholula people, they were like enemies and stuff, and Mexico's like, sure, just go through, it's fine.
Who said they?
Like eventually, but apparently it was like, and like they ended up convincing because like the more direct route to Mexico was, yeah,
So Montezuma said they could go through too, right?
yeah, like Montezuma wanted them to go through, yeah.
The Tlaxcalans didn't.
Yeah, they didn't like the whole, basically working with Montezuma and his whole people.
I'll write this in like a rough draft.
We're on.
Wait, I mean, for answering the questions, we don't actually have to write a thesis on it.
Oh, we don't?
No, that's for,
You just have to answer the question.
right, answer questions. Yeah, that's the second part, that's the second part.
Very good. Follow your directions, it's all
Does
written
the
there.
second part have anything to do with this question?
It does, because it's focusing on the key events. You have to pick the number one event that happened. So what I'm giving you the clue is it's probably related to those questions.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Fine.
So Cortez finally decided to answer the first part.
What was the big discussion about?
Decided
It went to, what's
I really appreciate it.
No, wait, no, this was just asking like what was the discussion about, not the actual answer.
No, it's saying which was
number 9.
Oh, we came number 9? Oh, forgive me, I thought we were looking at
Cortez
8.
decided going through the city of
I could have sworn I went to
Cholula.
Yeah.
He decided to go through Cholula.
Well, the Tlaxcalans didn't want them going through there.
Yeah, they really support, no, that's not true, that's not true.
Weren't they like poor?
Like, they were, like, they were really poor, but like, the Tlaxcalans like offered like 10,000 people if they wanted to go up through like this really dangerous area, and like, Cortez was like, no, that's way too many, we need like 1,000 guys, not 10,000.
So the Tlaxcalans provided
Yeah, like they were actually really willing to help, but they were really upset that Cortez got ignored their council. Montezuma's. Like some bad blood between
No,
that.
we're,
Cortez first decided on going to the city of Cholula. The Tlaxcalans on the other
Okay, so that
hand
question says, how do they describe
supported Cortez by giving him $1,000.
Yeah.
So they
But they offered 10,000
what
originally.
it looks like, what are some of the
Finish your
features.
count, one,
So what you want to do,
city.
if you were thinking about this.
Other hand,
how could you
gave
describe it
Cortez
in a drawing?
1,000 troops.
Descriptions are really easy at making
Yeah.
drawings. If you think about
Wanted them to go
what are
to
the
the city,
things that
go
are
to
said
it.
and how I can put it as an
They wanted them to go around it.
They wanted to go around the city, yeah.
So why did they give them 1,000 troops?
Because they were their allies and they were being nice, like, hey, if you're gonna go through this like really obviously deadly place, we're just gonna give you some people so you don't get like wiped out.
So going through the city was risky?
Yeah, very risky. Like, Tlaxcalans didn't like
There was
them.
that big match.
Looking down
Yeah.
from the mountains, the
Yeah.
mountain peaks.
Over 10,000 men, but Cortez only
So
accepted.
should we mention that the Tlaxcalans, there were allies, or well, they were supposed to be allies?
Suggested that they shouldn't go through the city, but they supported it, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like, we're now it's way to like see how good a friend the Tlaxcalans were with Cortez now.
Montezuma really didn't really care.
thing is, the reason Cortez probably went the way the Mexicans suggested is because he didn't really care what the flash counts thought, because they weren't as powerful. He had all the gold that Montezuma had.
Okay, guys, I hear a lot of great discussion, okay? We're going back and forth with the answers. I would say let's take the final minute or two to get our answers done. Now let's transition into our creation tasks, okay? We're gonna have to get started on our creation tasks. It looks like everybody's pretty much there, so just wrap up your answers and then move forward.
Student number 8. The biggest decision was to, we already answered it in the second part.
So you guys already had the answer in one of your other ones? Yeah. So this will make this one much easier.
The route they suggested was to go through the route that Cortez
Bob?
suggested.
The Mexican ambassador suggested that Cortez to go into the city.
Yeah, Mexico.
One
Yes,
picture per
yeah.
question.
No, it's a route.
So what you can
No,
do
no,
is
that's
say, okay,
One to go
Bruce is gonna draw the question 5's answer.
Yeah.
Bob's gonna draw question 6 answer. So you only need to have one drawing per question. Okay? PLY. Comply.
To go through.
So you guys are ready to get into your task now? Yeah. Excellent, excellent. Are we ready to transition into the task of thesis now, man?
I believe so, yeah.
Great, great, great. You still have 12 minutes to work on your thesis. Very good. And you guys are already drawing.
A lot of stuff happened, there's like 50 pages, there's like decent amount of important stuff there.
The most important was Cortez didn't really care. He just wanted to go and get the gold. Yeah, I think that's most important.
Yeah, I want
I think it's a fairly important one, because that led to the whole having to like deal with like a attempted massacre and like courtyard thing, like basically show that Montezuma didn't really like him that much.
Really like
Like remember like Montezuma like dedicated like a 20,000 man army to like go assist the destruction of Cortez and his people.
okay.
Are we all making music?
No, one thesis for the group. Just make sure that you debate and discuss and get that number one, because there's a lot of events that happen.
Yeah.
So one of the goal is here, the task is here to be decisive. So you gotta debate it, then here's the number one thing that happens.
Yeah, I'm willing to go with that decision since that like,
Only one person has to write it down. Okay.
Oh, only one person has to write it
that's nice.
down.
That's fine. I would say to have record, it's easy to write a sentence, right? And then what you have to do though is explain why that was the most important. So that's a task that you want to work together on.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with the idea with that decision since again, like decided to go to the city, none of that other stuff with fighting Mexico and the Chileans and like the massacre and all that wouldn't actually happen.
Montezuma wanted to send all those people.
Yeah, like Montezuma had like the opening to like try and crush him and
Started everything.
oh, they wouldn't have spread they wouldn't have been able to like spread their religion to or attempt to spread their religion to the
Montezuma would be strong.
yeah. So without that decision, like that whole thing would have not happened. It would just been like a 50 pages of him walking through the woods.
Very much.
Still in favor.
Which one did we select? Did we select one?
Right.
Yeah, we remember like the decision to go to the city, like the original decision to like take the road through
Okay.
Cholula. Like without that, like they would have just avoided everything that happened. They just kept walking through the woods.
Okay, makes sense. So that'll be, in my mind, that would be a nice one to defend too, because you can say that was still precedent, and there's related events that would not have happened had that one not taken place.
Yeah, it's a big cause and effect on there. Yeah.
Should I write it or you want to say it? Doesn't matter.
But we have one typed in. So, so we say, if Cortez did not make the decision that they were comfortable with, then
events that transpired in Cholula.
Yeah, if Cortez didn't go through Cholula, events that proceeded from that would have, like, proceeded after it wouldn't have had been defeated.
Transpired in Cholula would not have occurred,
Yeah.
like, which were like several key things for the story.
Several key figures,
Cholula,
key events.
several key events.
I didn't know Cortez did not leave, I did not remember going to Cholula. Events that proceeded after that would not have occurred.
So it looks like you got the volcano, Bruce, right?
Yeah.
And then, I like what you, I see that, no, that's excellent. Bob, tell me, give me a little insight into this. Excellent, so you're drawing a temple, maybe little limestone structures there, very good. Okay, I see.
Yeah, there we go, I guess that is something that's showing the one thing which course that I'm quite trying to figure out why it was.
Yeah, I'm not good at Spanish.
Not that
Okay,
bad.
all right.
I understand it more than I could write it.
Yeah.
What was the last one I said? I was gonna say that the volcano one. Oh, yeah. What about it? Because like they gave them an overview of the city, like. Yeah, they could kind of go with like info. They go to the volcano, go Mexico is 20-30 miles away, so like gives them an idea of how far away Mexico is. That's pretty much what it was the first one, so it's information. What about them finding the people in the cages? And then, you remember that in Cholula?
Exactly, how do you want to start this? Like, should we use like the Harris format?
Oh, we're gonna say Cortez trying to.
Not for the pieces, maybe.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Cortez trying to convert.
That's like the ACT format where you put like the introductory set, and well, I guess the
Introduction
introduction
is
yeah.
So you already have your thesis, all you have to do, Cole, is just explain your rationale.
Oh,
So you just
okay.
defend
So give
your
us,
argument.
we have to give you our thesis and explain why.
And explain why you feel that's the most important.
So it's like right that this is the most, the reason this is the most important is because, and then just like. go ahead and
Exactly.
start writing.
If you were writing a paper, right, how would you defend this thesis? So you're just basically summarizing everything you would put in a thesis paper.
Okay.
So are we writing an intro paragraph?
Andrew?
Are we just writing an intro paragraph?
Not necessarily. You're just writing the thesis statement, correct? And then from there, all you have to do is write a paragraph that defends it. Why? That's right. Why is this the best or the most important event?
For the following reasons.
Yeah, and once you explain the reason, we have to explain those reasons.
Yeah, so.
Gentlemen, there's 5 minutes left. I don't want you to rush, okay? 5 minutes, and then we're going to share some of our work, okay?
Our Montezuma could be stronger.
The major events, reasons such as Montezuma,
You gonna start your coloring, Bob?
Montezuma could have been stronger.
Cortez could have gotten lost in the jungle.
Could have got, yeah, that is true. And then died in the jungle, remember that?
Or if they,
Yeah.
Montezuma did not send his men to the court, or to massacre all those people, and Cortez showed up there, he would have been annihilated.
Oh no, it wouldn't be like Cortez.
Yeah, if Cortez,
Yeah, Cortez didn't show up, then he wouldn't have had to deal with the whole
Mhm.
attempted massacre.
yeah.
That was important because it was
Yeah.
So I have not someone could have been more prepared military wise too, but could have gotten lost in the woods and died.
Well, that could go back with the first one.
Yeah.
Could have attempted suicide.
Who's that? Homicide, massacre.
Homicide.
Yes, I swear.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay, let's start.
Where are we at, guys? Last reason.
Yeah. So once we explain our themes, we have to explain those themes.
Yeah.
We just leave them there.
No, I don't think it's necessary right now. We have a limited time here. If you were actually writing the paper, you have plenty of time. Here, you just want to denounce.
This is like a brief
Yeah, this is like a intro paragraph.
Okay, so I'm fine. I'm just gonna go ahead and go with it to the next one here, and like start explaining the first reason.
So what about the courtyard?
Literally a statement right now.
Well, the courtyard, if Cortez showed up when Marston tried to attack that, he tried to attack that. Cortez showed up at the wrong time, he would have completely wiped out.
It's also important because the Mexicans thought they were gods for like
That's why they-
now they really don't think they're gods.
Yeah, once they killed their horses and they started seeing their men dying, they're like, these guys are full of crap.
About Spanish?
Yeah. There's not Spanish liability. Yeah, once you explain it to them. It's not a big deal.
So once you have the three themes,
They're good. I like the discussion I was hearing, which was what I was looking for. That was excellent. About 1 minute left, man, and then we're going to share. We're going to share a couple of things. I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay? Bruce is going to show us his picture, and Bob, check them out, okay? So we're getting ready to go.
Is it okay with going all the coloring?
That's okay. Yeah, we have limited time, so just do the best you can. I understand. You guys have done well so far.
Just do eating and grass.
Okay, Jen, so stop right there. Make sure a couple of detailed issues. Make sure you have your name on anything that you've completed. Let me tell you how I'm going to grade these. I'm going to ask you to share some of your responses, gentlemen. I'm not going to ask you to answer the questions because the answers to the questions lead to the big picture ideals. So I'm going to grade the questions, okay, individually, and you'll get a grade on that. You're also, I came around while you guys were working, and I was taking notes. I was actually very impressed. I thought it worked out very well, and I want to get your input on that too. So let's go to the check for understanding idea, and remember the goal is to understand this essential question. What were the most important events that took place in this reading section? So that being said, our first group had the task of creating the top 5 events. So I'm just going to ask them to read their top 5 events, okay, right now, and then we'll have a brief discussion on those. Who's going to represent the group and read them to? PJ? Okay, everyone pay attention here. Bruce, you can, don't worry about coloring. I see that you made it very far. And we'll go ahead and pay attention to PJ because a lot of what they have written down relates here and also relates to your pictures, okay?
Do you want us explaining it or just?
Right now, just read off your top 5 list.
Number 1, Tlaxcalans giving the Spanish information about the Aztecs. Number 2, the Spanish making peace with the Tlaxcalans. 3, the telling of the prophecy of the Spanish coming over the sun or over the sunrise. 4, Montezuma sending messengers rather than inviting the Spanish to the city. And 5, Cortez's attempt to convert the Tlaxcalans.
Okay, so your number 5, just number 5 relates to the religious factor, right?
Yep.
Your number 1, okay, is talking about the Tlaxcalans, an enemy of the Aztec, giving information about the Aztec. And one of the most important things that was stated about the Aztec was about their capital city.
Yeah.
All right, would you agree with that, guys?
Yeah.
They gave him a description.
Yeah.
So Bob's drawing is the answer to how they described the city. So Bob, can you tell us what you drew and why you drew that?
I haven't done yet, so
It's okay.
they said the city was built above the water or lake, and they have the thick walls, and it's difficult to attack them, and it's also good to defend. So I just draw the thick wall, and they have many troops, soldiers. So I add some stick.
You put some stick figures. That's great. So Bob represents a lot of the soldiers with some stick figures, and he's got one of the defense walls there. So this is extremely important for the Spanish to know, because if they're going to eventually conquer this city, they would like to know the layout, correct? So I would agree that that was a major factor. And we could debate and discuss whether that's the most important or not, but you guys came to the conclusion that it led to other things, which I think is a great thing. There. Now, there's one other thing that was totally new to the Spanish. Bruce, can you tell us what was totally new to the Spanish in this section?
What was totally new to the Spanish is that they saw a volcano, and so they sent one of the Spanish up there, and as you can see there, I mean you can't really see it, but there's a little stick figure guy right there, and he's looking, or what it said in the book, you can see all of Mexico, and so I drew a couple little cities or tribes, and put some trees right there, so you just get the idea that you can see all of Mexico right there.
Well done, Bruce. Impressive. So you're giving us a stick figure,
Yeah.
and he's on top of the volcano, and he's seeing now the layout of the city,
Yeah.
correct? So the two answers here relate, because Bob, he's going off the description from the Tlaxcalans. Then we have the individual who's sent to the volcano. He's given his description, and he actually saw it for himself. Excellent. Okay. Now let's close this off with our group number 2 here with the thesis statement. So you guys had the task of designing a thesis statement, an argument of what is the most important factor, and then explaining it. So one of you guys represent what your answer is and tell the class, and then we'll take a look at that. Okay.
Want to represent the thesis? I'll read it.
Mitch, you're going to represent the
I'm
thesis?
going to read the thesis.
Okay, Mitch is going to read the thesis, and then we're going to stop there, okay?
Alright. If Cortez did not make the decision to go through Cholula, the several key events that transpired in Cholula would not have occurred, and of course other events after that.
Okay, so if we were to do a snap check on that, remember when we did a snap check on our thesis? One of the things is the end. Is it non-obvious? It's definitely not obvious, because we're taking a look at a major city within the reading, correct? And is it provable? That's the P on the snap, right? I think you guys would have a good time proving that in a paper, because you're going to take a look at the events that transpired, and then you can move forward from there. How did you defend your thesis in a paragraph? Who's going to share that one? Colt, you got that one? Okay.
Taking in mind that this isn't actually entirely complete due to time restraints, but
Okay, yes, sir.
the reason that this is the most important event with the 50 pages of within the 50 pages of reading is for the following reasons. Number one, Montezuma could have grown stronger if they had not gone through this region. The second one here means that Cortez could have gotten lost in the jungle, or if Cortez did not show up in the city, he would have not been able to attempt to the massacre could not have happened, and therefore Montezuma's forces would never have been needed, and they would have been saving the Aztec money trying to send troops down there. And then if Cortez had shown up, then he never could have spread Christianity or gotten
that town to swear allegiance to him, so that would have weakened Montezuma overall. If he just showed, no, he did show up, so it weakened it, but if he hadn't, it would have just been more power to Montezuma at that point.
Okay,
And
well,
that's one less ally.
well done. I like what you said there, Cole, and I like the way that the group defended that thesis. My final point today is that was a major event. I think these two events are highly connected though, because the information given by the Tlaxcalans also leads them to Cholula, right? So there's very much a connection here, and we already looked at the connection between these two answers. So the final point, what I want you to leave with is understand this. At Cholula, Montezuma wants to massacre the Spanish. So he now makes a point of attacking the Spanish. The plan was they were going to welcome the Spanish into the city of Cholula. Cholula is an Aztec tributary state, so they pay tribute. They're going to do whatever Montezuma tells them to. So while in that city, they're going to let them get accustomed, let them feel comfortable, and then they were going to attack in the middle of the night. An ambush was prepared. Okay? So this is a critical point in the reading and understanding how Montezuma figures this out, and then Cortez counters it with the help of the famous female La Malinche, who was a translator. And nobody knew that she spoke Aztec and also Mayan, and then could relate it to the Spaniards. She hears women inside the city talking about the ambush. She goes and tells Cortez. Cortez makes a preemptive strike and actually wipes out all of the soldiers in Cholula. It's a terrible event. There's a lot of death. But had this not happened, I don't think the Spanish would have made it much further. Okay? So, it is pretty violent, but this is a key event in history that led up to the conquest of Mexico. Okay, guys? Great job. Hopefully, you learned something from that. Does anybody want to share just a quick response as to how you enjoyed this change-up today? Anybody have anything in particular? Michael?
I like working in groups.
You like that?
You had a different perspective on what other people thought, not only your own.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. Bruce, let me go to you.
All right.
Did you, in doing this assignment, did you learn something?
Like, I mean, yeah. I mean,
Tell me what you learned from doing this or having this experience.
Actually, I mean, I think doing this actually, like with me and Bob, it was better or it was easier doing the group work with each other. But
Okay.
like working with each other, like doing the drawing, like I thought it was fun because I mean, you get a better view of like getting from the book. So actually, like seeing pictures and stuff that helps me out a lot.
Okay, excellent. So you were able to use a learning style that you enjoy
Yeah.
and involve it with a learning experience. Do you understand some of the key events now?
Yeah, Pearson them, what they used. I liked the paragraph that Colt said.
Okay. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I want to collect all the documents, okay? And make sure your name is on them, okay?
Just send all